All right, so bienvenidos, welcome. This is going to be your last video for RPS at Home for Spanish. My name is Christina Mitchell. I'm the Spanish teacher over at Binford. And for today's video, instead of just doing a quick 10 to 15 minute lesson, I want to kind of touch base and discuss all of the ways you can practice Spanish in the summertime on your own. They are all very fun, interactive, not doing worksheets and things like that. Also, I do apologize, it is storming out right now, but hopefully you can still hear me just all right. Okay, so I'm also going to link this PowerPoint so you guys have access to this because it has a lot of really great links of things you can do to practice. So, summertime Spanish, no te preocupes, es divertido. The first thing I kind of want to just highlight is all of these activities are going to be having you all practicing your input or taking in the language itself. This will be through reading, music, stories, lots of listening, and one of the experts in the language world, Stephen Krashen, I like to start this out with a quote, "We do not acquire language by producing it, only by understanding it." So really the best thing you can do if you are worried or want to practice Spanish over the summer, since we've been away from each other for so long, the best thing you can do is take in the language, either through reading or listening. So I'm going to go through lots of different ways you can do that on your own this summer. All right, so the first thing, the table of contents, this PowerPoint, you can kind of click through, but there are going to be four main things we kind of review today: reading and stories, music, podcasts, and then other. So let's go ahead to reading and stories first. And these are just a few of my favorite resources based on levels. What should I be reading? So that's the most important thing to think about when you're going to read in Spanish. You don't necessarily want to read children's books in Spanish because those are high level. You want to pick something that is catered towards Spanish language learners. So two of the resources I'm going to show you today are really awesome. The first one's geared more towards novice readers, and is the Revista Literal, and written and put together by Martina Bex. Martina Bex is a Spanish teacher. A lot of these stories are actually written by Spanish language learners or Spanish students themselves. So I'm going to kind of show you what this website looks like. No, I'm not going to translate it. So, Revista Literal, they're just little stories. So if you see this, un mensaje en una botella, we can look through this, and the stories are really nice because they have vocab for you as you go through it. So pulpo, octopus, has pictures to help you. More challenging words like haya escrito are translated. And my favorite part about the story is at the end it has kind of like an activity or something you can do as a follow-up. So this one is pick 10 words or phrases from the story that are new, and draw a picture of it, label it, write a sentence in Spanish using that word. So she really does a great job of providing stories that are easy to understand, as well as kind of follow-up activities to do that. Again, you can go through, all of these stories are free. All of the resources I'm going to be sharing with you all today are free. So let's go back. The next one is more geared towards intermediate or advanced readers or language learners, and that is using the website Newsela, which a lot of you probably already use in different classes. I'm going to show you really quickly how you can find the Spanish articles. If you've never been to Newsela, you can sign in with your Google School account. And if you go to news here, they're all news articles. You can go all the way down to Spanish. My suggestion is to first find something that you're interested in, actually reading about. So let's say Sheep View, sure, instead of Google View. What you're going to do here, this looks pretty complicated. When you see this at the top, you are going to want to choose Spanish, and these are the different language levels or the amount of words in the article. I suggest starting lower and then going from there. You can see that this is much shorter than it was previously. It is still quite challenging. So again, I only suggest this for upper level learners. And the nice thing about Newsela as well is you can go through and kind of do reading comprehension questions, things like that. So those are two really great ways to practice your reading. You can also, if you'd like, get something from the library, maybe a book you've read a lot in English you're very familiar with. I've had students read Harry Potter again, but in Spanish. You just don't want it to be so challenging that you're just looking at the words and not really comprehending them. Right, so my favorite way to practice is definitely music. And I'm going to go through kind of a way you can practice with a song yourself instead of just making a playlist and hearing the sounds. This is really a way to kind of delve into the language itself and really get to know a song. And this is something kind of the practice of active listening. And you can complete this activity with any song of your choosing as long as it's in Spanish. So first thing is pick a song. You definitely want to pick something that you like. There are lots of different artists I've listed here, but there are many, many more. If you aren't sure, you can look on Spotify. There are lots of playlists, things like that, or just a quick Google search of different types of music. There are lots of great rock bands in Spanish like Maná, some more traditional music like Selena, or pop, or bachata, salsa. There's lots of options. Reggaeton. You do really want to take your time to pick a song that you like because this activity is going to have you listen to that song quite a few times. Okay, so once you've picked a song, you want to kind of find a comfortable spot so you can truly focus on listening. Active listening is definitely a practice. We're not all necessarily naturally good at listening. So this is something that does take practice, but will really help you not only in Spanish class, but all of your classes, and will really kind of fine-tune your listening skills for the Spanish language. So find that comfortable spot wherever you can focus on listening. The first time, I just want you to listen to the song once all the way through while thinking of these questions. What instruments do you hear? Do you like the rhythm or beat? This is kind of really taking away from you hyper-focusing on the language itself and just taking this song as is, not putting that pressure on yourself to understand exactly what the song's saying at first. Second time, listen to the song again and think of this question. What is the feeling you get from this song? What emotion do you think the artist is trying to convey? Again, we're not looking at the language quite yet. We're really just taking that time to listen, take in the music, and get the feeling for the song. Fourth step, you're going to look up the song lyrics and read through them, not listening to the song. Notice any words that you do understand. These could be cognates. These could be words that you've learned in previous years of Spanish, but you want to kind of just focus on what you do understand in the song itself. It is helpful if you have an actual paper copy in front of you, but if you don't have access to a printer, you could just look at the lyrics online. You could write them down once you're looking at them, but really take time to read through the lyrics first. Okay, and then the fifth time, you're going to listen to the song all the way through again. So this will be your third time listening to it. And then while trying to read along with the lyrics in front of you. And then finally, make some guesses as to what the song is about. You've listened to the song, you've heard the instruments, you've guessed about the feeling of the song or the feeling that it's trying to convey. What do you think this song is about? Okay. Again, there's no right or wrong. This is just kind of fine-tuning your ability to listen and hear those words that you do understand in Spanish. Now that you've completed the active listening part, there's a lot of things you can do to kind of follow up. I definitely suggest, because at this point you're going to be kind of curious as to what the song is actually saying, to look up those lyrics in English. You can see whether your prediction was correct, things like that. Another thing I kind of encourage is to write down a few phrases you really love, not necessarily just a single word, but a phrase, so you could say that and use that in the future. You could research the artist, kind of see their background, where they're from. Maybe there's a story behind the song itself. You can add it to your personal playlist. Then you can also play a game with the lyrics. I do suggest active listening as one of the best ways to practice over the summer. It seems kind of wild to listen to a song so many times, but it's very, very helpful. And if you're like my students at all, the more you hear a song, the more you like it. So I'm going to quickly show you this game. A lot of you probably have seen it, but just in case. This is just using lyrics training. You don't have to sign in or anything, but up here you can go to Learning in Spanish. Now, if you really, really, really want to play this game, you might need to when you're first picking out your song, look at this website and make sure they have it, because they do not have every song. But let's look at this. Un poco loco. Really nice. No, I do not want to translate. So you can do beginner, intermediate, advanced, expert, fill in the lyrics, or you can also do choice mode, which I kind of like because it's a little bit easier to start out. And basically what it does, it has you listen to lyrics, read along. You do not need to make a free account. And then you choose the word. There's going to be a blank for a word, and you're going to be asked to listen and pick which one is correct. Now, at this point, you should have heard the song 4 times and also read along in the lyrics once. So if you'd like to do choice mode once and then try it with writing mode, it is quite a bit more difficult, but also really great practice. So those are all the ways you can practice for music. Another awesome resource is our podcasts. This is great if you're doing a long road trip, if you just want to have earbuds in and listen for a while. Great for all language learners. So some of the podcast suggestions I have, this obviously is not all of them, and these aren't links to them, but you could find them on the podcast app. And the first one I want to highlight is Alt Latino. This is one of my favorite podcasts. This is one I actually listen to myself. It's not really teaching the Spanish language, but it shows every week or bi-weekly different artists in the Latin American world, talks about music, their inspiration. This is a really great way to find new artists and something that I myself like to listen to a lot. News in Spanish slow, or in slow Spanish, is exactly what it sounds like. It's current events, but in Spanish, really slow for those language learners. You can download, the nice thing about it is you get to choose between a Spain accent or Latin American accent, as well as they obviously have different terms, so you can choose that, and then you can also download the transcripts to read along with it as well. Coffee Break Spanish is an award-winning app for learning Spanish. They're quick little podcasts, and it's between a Spanish teacher and a student. So it's really nice because you have the teacher there asking a lot of questions. She pauses before her student answers. It allows you to have time to answer yourself. A great way to kind of delve deeper into the language. Spanish Obsessed is more conversational Spanish. It's between a husband and a wife. They have a lot of fun making this podcast. The husband is from England and the wife, Liz, is from Colombia, so it's a nice Colombian accent. There are a lot of great terms. This is an easy way to use kind of and learn more slang terms, things that are used in casual language, not necessarily just all classroom Spanish. And then finally, Duolingo, which many of you all have seen, has a podcast itself. It's very helpful. It's not just going through grammar and vocab, but it also has personal stories, dialogues, testimonies, things like that. You can hear a decent amount of English and Spanish in the podcast, so that's a really nice kind of beginner podcast to get started. All of these are great resources for listening. And fourth, these are just kind of other random ways I would suggest kind of surrounding yourself with the language, which is the best way to learn. So watch TV. You can watch a movie or show you've seen a lot and put it in Spanish. Disney does a nice job, Buscando a Nemo. You can put on Spanish subtitles as well as the audio, or you could listen to the English and read the Spanish subtitles. It's up to you, but a great way to get some practice in. Download an app. Babbel and Duolingo are great apps for learning Spanish. They're also free. Word Reference is the dictionary app of my preference. It gives a lot of great background and usage of the words in a sentence, so you can make sure it's exactly what you want. And then, of course, Quizlet, a lot of you all have used in classes. I'm sure your teacher has an account there. You could look up their lists of words, or however you might want to practice. If you want to just practice words for around the house in Spanish, you could search that and find, I'm sure, plenty of Quizlet practices there. And finally, just a list of random things. You can put your phone in Spanish for a day or a week. You can follow your favorite Spanish artists on social media. They're posting lots of videos. They're speaking in Spanish. Shakira is a really nice one because she does Spanish and English. There's a lot of futbolistas, soccer players. There's many, many people you can follow if you're interested in them. There are TED Talks in Spanish. And then finally, one of my favorites is You Could Cook Using Authentic Recipe. Watching this abuelita, she has kind of blown up in the YouTube world, De Mi Rancho a Tu Cocina. And she just does a really nice job speaking.
Hola mi gente, bienvenidos a mi rancho. Hoy les vamos a preparar una sabrosa barbacoa de pollo. Aquí
So she does, you'll notice, speak a little quickly, but you'll be able to watch her cook. She does a lot of traditional foods and cooks outside on like an open flame. Just a really cute little cooking show, or you could try a traditional recipe of your choosing. So those are basically just some ways I would suggest, or I've always told my students are best ways to practice on your own. I suggest these not only because they're based on your interests, but also because they're not necessarily getting you to write and speak yourself. It's just taking in that language. That's the best thing we can do, is fine-tune our hearing and work on our reading. So gracias, and I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, you can always email me. Again, I'm Christina Mitchell. I teach at Binford Middle, and I hope you all have a great summer.